Folks, I recently wrote something in my journal that I wanted to share with you that I hope resonates with you as well. And it's around the idea that you will never truly find yourself, your true self, your real self, until you find God. Or better yet, until you finally allow to let God find you. Now, some of you out there might think that you already know yourselves, but I want to challenge you. Haven't you had times when you will do certain things and you will be surprised at doing them? How often are you surprised at your own choices, actions, reactions, the stupid things that you say or do just to please other people? Is there any wonder why at the end of a day, week, month, year, even decade, you feel so tired, uninspired, literally exhausted of having to keep up the act? But you keep doing it. You keep playing the part. Why? Because you are afraid. You are afraid of rejection. You are afraid of failure. You're afraid of letting others down. You're afraid of others finding out who you really are. Your entire life seems like a game of hide and seek. A game where you're just trying to get through your day without anyone finding out who you really are. So you put on a brave face and a confident smile, but really, you're living in constant fear that someone will finally see through it, that someone will finally call you out on it, that the house of cards you've worked so hard to build over all these years will finally crumble. You will finally be exposed and the game of hide and seek will be over. And then comes your biggest fear. When the house of cards crumbles, when the game is over, will I be able to stand the shame, the embarrassment of being exposed for who I really am? What will happen when everyone, including yourself, finally realizes that the script you've worked so hard to build turns out to be fiction? Now, here's the good news. Sometimes it takes this kind of downfall for someone to finally face reality and realize that they haven't been living as a part of it. I've always wondered why Gordon Ramsay makes it routine practice in every restaurant makeover to completely tear down not just the restaurant, but to take the extra step of humbling and completely tearing down the restaurant owner. I've always wondered, is that really necessary? And I realized the real reason why Gordon Ramsay tears down not just the restaurant and the interior decoration and the menu, but they take time to tear down the owner. See, Gordon Ramsay understands that tearing down the restaurant is only a superficial solution. It's only a temporary band-aid at best. The real makeover, the real transformation must happen within the mind and the heart of the restaurant owner. It doesn't matter how fancy the furniture becomes, how amazing the menu makeover is, if the owner is living in a false sense of reality about themselves and their surroundings. You see, within us, there is this false mask, this false self, and it has a very insidious survival mechanism. And this mechanism is there to buffer and protect us from facing the shock of reality as it truly is. You see, the more our inner reality departs from actual reality, the more we build these buffers, these ideas or versions of reality that tell us everything is fine. It's not me. The problem is out there. And this false self will create all kinds of scripts. And these scripts act as sedatives so we can keep sleepwalking through life on our way to nowhere while convincing ourselves that we're actually going somewhere and that everything is okay. Now, this script, this survival mechanism, this scaffolding, this house of cards erected by the false self is there to protect and fight for its fake version of reality. And it is so surprisingly stubborn that sometimes, most of the time, only a massive shock to the system can finally overwrite this stubborn script. And even then, a lot of these restaurant makeover owners, despite all evidence contrary to their vision of reality hang on to their false vision of self and their surroundings, for better or for worse. And almost all of the time, it's for the worse. But now you understand why Gordon Ramsay will take time not only to tear down the restaurant, but to tear down the false scaffolding, the house of cards, the false script that the restaurant owner has carefully constructed to protect their false self and their vision of reality. Let's start to answer the question now of how to find your true self and how to stop putting up an act so exhausting that you cannot possibly sustain it. You cannot build something true, something good, something beautiful, something lasting on a foundation of shaky scaffolding. You cannot always trust yourself to accurately assess who you are. It's only a matter of time before the house of cards or the scaffolding crumbles if it's not built on truth, if it's not built on reality. It may not be immediate, but it is inevitable. It might not fall right away, but it's going to fall, and you're going to fall along with it. Exhausted, ashamed, exposed. So now the question, what will it take for you to face reality? And how do you do it? Will we have to wait for Gordon Ramsay to show up and humble us and humiliate us? Will we have to wait for the house of cards to crumble? Or will you muster up the courage right now to face reality as it is? To start tearing out the pages from your science fiction script of who you thought you were. A screenplay that was written solely to please the world, out of cowardice, out of complacency. Before you begin to build your life on the foundation of your true self, first you have to remove all the garbage, all the clutter that you've accumulated on your journey thus far. See, right now, you're dragging all of this along with you. It's heavy. It's burdensome. This is why you feel tired. This is why you're exhausted. You're dragging all these ideas, false ideas about you, only to protect this vision of yourself that isn't even true. I want you to let it go. Let go of living your life around the expectations from others. Let go of living your life around your own expectations of who you think you are and what you think life should be. There's a very good chance that your notions of who you are and what life should be are mostly borrowed from others, mostly adopted from the world and mistakenly believed to be your own. The truth about who you are is not in your head. The head is a great calculator, but it's not a great compass. The proof? You've calculated plenty in your life. You're smart, you have a sharp brain, and it's done all kinds of calculations in your life. And yet, for all the success that you have in your life, you find yourself looking in the mirror and asking, who am I really? Why do I feel like I'm putting up an act? Why do I feel like I'm carrying around all these props and all this scaffolding to protect and portray an image that I'm not even sure is who I really am? That's what your brain has done. It has allowed you to write this script and create all these strategies, all of them intended to protect the most vulnerable parts of you, the parts that actually express who you really are. And so, folks, it's not the head that's going to tell you who you are. For that, you need to go to the true compass, and that is your heart. Your heart almost always knows the truth. It is the seat of your conscience. And yes, sometimes the truth hurts. And that's when your head will start calculating all kinds of scripts and distractions and delusions, all intended to have you avoid facing truth as it is. But folks, truth always wins. It might take some time. It might be a huge underdog. It might even take a huge beating for most of the fight. But truth will always win. So the question is, how do you let truth win in your life? How do you let truth expose the light of who you truly are? First, I want you to seek silence. I want you to remove yourself, even if for a few minutes a day, from the people, places, and projects that reinforce your false identity, your house of cards. Allow yourself a slice of silence and stillness in your day. so you can hear the whispers of your heart. Because the heart is the place where you connect with the truth. Start practicing daily, going from reactive mode of trying to meet the expectations of others, of who we think we should be, and instead to allow yourself to be still and silent. Why? So you can finally hear the whisper of God in your heart. Why God? You didn't make yourself. The world didn't make you. So why are you chasing the world? Why are you chasing ideas that you borrowed from the world? Why are you chasing dreams and desires that you aren't even sure are your own? It's because you do not give yourself time to find out who you truly are. In order to do that, you need to get rid of all the noise, all the clutter, all the ideas, and allow yourself to sit in silence with who? With the one who actually made you. Who would know better than the manufacturer how the thing is supposed to work? Well, if God made you, and God knows who you are better than even you know yourself, wouldn't it be a good idea to shut out all the noise and tune in to the timeless transmission in your heart, the place where you make the connection with God? God is not gonna yell over the noise. That's not how it works. The way God tells you who you are is in still moments of silence, where you remove yourself from all of the things that reinforce your false identity, and you begin to listen to the whispers of your conscience and of your heart. I don't care how successful you've become in the game of this life. I don't care how many trophies the world has given you. You have not really understood this game until you realize that success is not about chasing the world. Success is definitely not about putting up an act. Real success is being able to tune out the pressures of this world, to stop being a slave to your senses, to stop living in reactive mode, to have the courage to take down the house of cards and the scaffolding before the winds of reality take it down themselves. It's inevitable. And to sit down in silence, tune into your heart, and hear what God has to say to you. The God who made you, the God who knows you better than you know yourself. I promise you that the energy, the clarity, the creativity, the courage that you're looking for is not going to come from out there. And it's not going to come from false ideas in here. It's only going to come from tuning into the source. I hope that this finds you well. I'll see you in the next video.